Hi, beautiful. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeannie, and this is Unfiltered 50s. If you've never been here before, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here now. If you have been here before, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be doing another installment of Beauties and the Beat, where music and makeup meet. And we're going to be dedicating this edition to Miss Janis Joplin. In last week's edition, if you'll remember, we were talking about the 27 Club and introducing you to some of its members, of which Miss Janis Joplin is a member, meaning she died at age 27. And what a loss for the music community, as she was much loved, and still her records sell so much in today's market. We love Janis still today, and like so many members of the 27 Club, we miss her, and we just wonder what maybe she might would be today. But in today's video, we are going to be talking about Janis Joplin. She was born January the 19th in Port Arthur, Texas in 1943. Things were still segregated during that time, and Janis was kind of a, she just didn't fit in. She just, she was just one of those girls that just, she just didn't fit the mold of what sometimes girls in the South were expected to fit. She didn't quite believe in, well, she did, well, she definitely did not fit the mold of the South. She didn't believe in segregation. She just didn't see things the way that a lot of people in the South saw them. This was during the time where people were starting to question some of the values that were just people were just kind of going along with, because that was what was handed down to them. That was what was just accepted, because their parents accepted them, and their parents before them accepted them. And this was during the time where young adults were starting to question, but why? They were starting to ask those questions. And this being Black History Month, and it's a good time to reflect upon that. And Janis is a great musician to look at for that. She didn't go along with the status quo, and I think it's very important to note that about Janis. As a matter of fact, most of the singers that she admired were African-American females, strong African-American female women. When she was asked on a talk show who she really admired, Tina Turner, and that was her idol that she popped out. Tina Turner, baby, Tina Turner, of the Ike and Tina Turner Review. And I can't remember. I want to think that the talk show host did not know who she was talking about. How embarrassing. But yeah, it was Tina Turner that she said whenever she is at home listening to artists, who does she listen to? Tina Turner, baby, Tina Turner. So yeah, let's dive in and start looking at who was this woman, Janis Joplin. She really sought to be accepted by her mother and father, and her mother in particularly, but being that she just didn't quite fit the mold, she really wanted to be that girl that is loved, the pretty. She really wanted to be the pretty girl, the one that's in the beauty pageants, that maybe got the crown, and not the one that always got the most liked, Miss Congeniality. But that's who Janis was. She just never quite quite won the pageant, unless you count the one that she won where she was voted, I want to say she was voted the most handsome man at college. And that really, really hurt her. So many times we as women want to be loved. We want to be pretty. And we place that value on what other people think about us, not necessarily what we think about ourselves. We place it based on the norms and the values that society say is beautiful. And I wonder if Janice had been living in today's era, how different things would be. We have so much, better products today, better beauty products. We have access, to even surgeries that can, change what we don't like about us. Would she have taken part in that? Would she have used her money to change her appearance for the things that maybe she didn't like about herself? All of those questions I think about when I think about Janice. But clearly, she was not an ugly woman. I think Janice was quite beautiful in her own right. I don't know why so many people harassed her or maybe deemed her to be unbeautiful, because I think Janice was a very beautiful woman and quirky and fun-loving, and the fact that she had her own quirky style, wearing boas in her hair, and just had an amazing voice, was just wonderful whenever you look back on it. And it's so sad that she didn't find the value in her own beauty, which she clearly possessed. So today I'm going to be using some products again from Lethal Cosmetics. I'm going to be trying some of my single shadows out, and then I will probably pull from quite a few products from the Lethal Cosmetics Velvet Dusk collection, and maybe top it off with a palette that's all too fitting for this edition, the Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane palette. And this palette is anything but Plain Jane, which is so fitting for Janice. This palette looks like this. Very pretty. It's from Adept Cosmetics. The Velvet Dusk palette from Lethal Cosmetics looks like this. Very grungy. Something I think that Janice probably would have liked to have used. And then my Build Your Own palette from Lethal looks like this. And it's this beautiful green shade right here that I'm going to be pulling for especially, along with this taupe shade. So we're going to be getting into that. So again, she was born on January the 19th of 1943, and she died on October the 4th of 1970. She first moved out to San Francisco, and again, she was born in Port Arthur, Texas. She hitchhiked with Chet Helms, and he ended up being the manager of the Big Brother and the Holding Company band. That was the first band that Janice actually belonged to. She was the lead singer of that band, and it was actually Chet Helms that recruited her for that band. And that did not happen until her second time out to San Francisco. But her first trip out to San Francisco in '62 was basically, she had just sort of gotten kind of introduced to the hippie scene out in San Francisco, a lot of partying. She basically somewhat got pretty strung out on drugs that particular stint. she ended up getting involved and engaged. She got engaged to Peter DeBlanc out there, and they had gotten into the drug scene, the alcohol scene. You know, she loved Southern Comfort, and she had ended up losing a ton of weight. She had weighed like 88 pounds, and basically what ended up happening was her friends threw her a party to raise bus fare to get her back to Port Arthur, Texas, so that she could get back home and get straightened out. And so she went back home and enrolled in school, got off drugs, got cleaned up, and started taking classes in psychology type classes. And she was engaged for a very, very short time to this Peter DeBlanc. And then he ended up hooking up with a different girl, breaking Janice's heart. They broke it off. And finally, she ended up going back out to San Francisco to become the singer for this Big Brother band. And they started having a lot of success with Big Brother. And so basically, what ends up really, really turning the corner, so, you know, they were out in the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. They were hanging out with the Grateful Dead. They were, you know, basically partying with all these types of bands. And so what happens is this is coming up on the Summer of Love in 1967, and the Monterey Pop Festival is going to take place. They've organized this big, huge pop festival. This was prior to Woodstock happening, and so this was 1967. It was June the 16th through the 18th up in Monterey, which is, you know, just a little. I think it's actually north of San Francisco. Yeah, I had to get my directions straight. And so this was, I think Monterey's actually, is that Marin County? Anyway, never mind. But so the Monterey Pop Festival is going to take place. And Big Brother and the holding company, which Janice is fronting, has been asked to perform there. Now, this is a big, a big kahuna deal, okay? Because at this particular time, you've got to think about that these bands are not getting, you know, radio play. There's nothing, you know, we don't have internet back then. We don't have anything going down. And so, you know, this is their chance to get some visibility, because there's no, you know, they're not on TV, they're not on the radio, there's no airtime, there's no, you know, they're not getting magazine time, they're not getting anything. This is their chance for some visibility. And so Monterey Pop Festival really puts quite a few people on the market. It puts Jimi Hendrix on the market, it puts Janis on the market. And so, you know, Brian Jones is there. He's kind of emceeing and introducing everybody. And how Jimmy comes to be at this particular place is because Paul McCartney says, hey, you know, dude, this guy is freaking unbelievable, talking about Jimi Hendrix. And then he says, you know, if you will allow him to be part of this pop festival, I will come over and be a part of it too. So Paul McCartney is the reason why Jimi Hendrix was invited. So the manager of the band at this particular time, and this is important because he makes some strategic moves for the band at this particular time. And his name was Julius Carpin. Julius Carpin was the band manager at this time, and it's really, really important. Very strategic moves that he makes for the band at this particular time. And so this Monterey Festival is going on, and there is a person who is wanting to make a documentary. He sees an opportunity to film this whole thing coming down, that, you know, this is going to be great. I'm going to do a documentary on this whole pop festival. So not only, you know, are all of these people, you know, showing up, and I mean, you know, it's just this huge festival. Like, you know, nobody's really seen the likes of this in the United States. Okay, you know, maybe in the UK, but not in the United States. So this Monterey Pop Festival is going on, it's coming down, and so this filmmaker, Pennebaker, sees the opportunity to make this documentary about this. And so, you know, he's running around and he's getting people to sign consent, you know, to be filmed for this documentary. So he's filming everything, you know, and Janice and her band, which is Big Brother, goes on the stage on Saturday night. So well, it's not really Saturday night, it's Saturday afternoon, because the sun's, you know, the sun's shining bright and everything. And so just so happens Mama Cass is in the audience. And so he gets this really good shot of Mama Cass, and she's got on her sunglasses. She's sitting next to somebody. And if you've ever seen the footage of this, you'll know what I'm talking about. But Mama Cass is sitting there, and she mouths to this person she's sitting there whenever Janice is singing Ball and Chain. And she sits there, and she's looking at this person that's sitting next to her, and she goes, well, Pennebaker wants this shot in his video. Well, in order to have this shot make sense, he needs to have the video of Janice singing Ball and Chain. Well, the problem is that he don't have the rights signed off by the band. So their manager is like, oh, whoa, no, no. You can't use that in your video. You cannot use them singing. You can't show any video clip of her actually singing, because you didn't get us to sign off on the rights to them singing. And so, which is genius on his part, see, because, you know, they don't have the rights. They can't use it. Well, this guy really wants footage of Janice singing this song so he can put this shot of Mama Cass in this video about Janice singing. So what happens is this Pennebaker has to basically finagle for Janice. He's like, no. I have to have her singing the song. I have to have this for my documentary. So what happens is that Big Brother gets invited to come back for a second set on Sunday. And they sign off on the paperwork, and they get a second set so second visibility, second set, second chance for people to see them, hear them. I mean, it's just genius, you know, for the band, for them to get extra, basically, airtime, visibility for their band, so they get to do a second set at Monterey Pop Festival. So, you know, in the whole scheme of things, I just thought that was just absolute, like, wow, you know, what a good manager, man, you know, boom, baby, boom. So they get extra visibility in the Monterey Pop Festival. So that kind of catapults the band and their career. So anyway, she ends up recording a couple albums for Big Brother, with Big Brother, I should say. And then, you know, Janice starts thinking that maybe, you know, she needs to go out on her own. And whether it was a good idea or whether it wasn't, you know, that's up for debate. But she starts the Cosmic Blues Band. And she does a European tour, and basically, she really doesn't know anything about running a band, you know, that type of thing. But what was so detrimental was that whenever she was in Big Brother, she sort of had a guy there that kind of held the reins and made sure that nobody did any. It was just like a free-for-all. And this is whenever, you know, things really started going downhill for Janice. So when she was in Big Brother, there was a guy that sort of held the reins on everything that shouldn't be happening, that wasn't good for her. And so when she left Big Brother, things really started getting out of hand as far as doing things that really she shouldn't be doing. So things just started going from bad to worse. Cosmic Blues Band just really didn't work. She had started doing some things that she really wanted to do, and she formed a band called the Full Tilt Boogie Band. And this is whenever she started recording the album Pearl. And it was during this album that she had started recording Chris Christopherson's Me and Bobby McGee. And things seemed like it was going pretty good. But when she was down in Hollywood and she was recording this album, she had actually hooked up with her supplier, and she was in her hotel room. And what she didn't know was that her supplier had brought her pure heroin. And when she had shot up with this drug that she had from him, it had went to her brain, and she died. Because usually heroin is, you know, cut with something. It's not pure heroin. And so when they did her autopsy, she was found, like, her body had, I want to think it was like 40-something% pure heroin in it at the time. And that was how she eventually died. Janice was known to perform at the Avalon Ballroom, at the Fillmore West. She loved, when she was in high school, you know, her and her friends would sneak out and go to Louisiana and listen to a lot of blues artists play. And she just really loved the blues. And she didn't really even know that she could sing at that time. So she didn't start singing until she was, you know, a teenager. And then she realized, you know, that she could in fact sing, and sing the blues, belt the blues out. So we were so lucky to have her for the few short years that we did. And it's just so sad that drugs eventually took her life. And I just think about, what is it in our psyche that makes us want to be loved so bad by others? It's so sad to see that happen. I'm just blowing this out just a little bit more. And now we're going to go into the Plain Jane palette, which is anything but plain. And I am going to pick up some of this color right here that's green, which is ACI 9. And I'm going to put that on as a topper shade. Oh, let's see what this does. Lighten that up under the brow bone with a white shade that's in this palette right here. I'm back with my final look. This is using a combination of Lethal Cosmetics single shadows. Let's see, I've used Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane palette, Lethal Cosmetics Build Your Own palette with single shades, the Velvet Dusk, and After Dark. Wow. What a lot of different indie brand cosmetics I have used today. But I do feel like that if Janice was with us today, she would definitely be an indie brand user. I just feel like that's the type of cosmetic she would be into. So yes, give it up for Janice today, and let's remember her and her music. Oh, yeah, wow. What a great performer she was. What a great musician she was. And, you know, what a great tribute to musicians everywhere. She started very late in her career as far as finding her voice in so many ways. Being able to feel her own beauty, finding the ability to love herself. Did she? Was she able to actually ever find love or love herself? I'm not sure. Definitely be sure to remember and love yourself first. And there's beauty inside of us all. And never go with the status quo. Don't let society tell you what's beautiful. As my good friend Darissa Rain says over at The Brutally Honest Beauty, be your own best beautiful. Be your own best beautiful. There's beauty in us all. It's not what society dictates. It's up to us to find and define our own best beautiful. Hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I hope that you take some time for your own self-care, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Don't forget, if you like the content on this channel, please take a moment. It just takes a second. Click the big red subscribe button down below. It really helps me out in the algorithm, and it means so much to me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, guys, on Beauties and the Beat. Bye for now.